Hello, my name is Jacob and this is John Mc Mahon, owner of Peak Health and Mind and Gym X Fitness. Before we start, I would like to thank John for coming along this evening and giving up time to take part in my local community hero interview as part of my Respect Project's peer leadership program. I'd like to start off by asking you some questions about your childhood, if that's okay with you.
That's fine, Jacob, yeah.
How was your childhood?
How was my childhood? I had a very happy childhood. Had a very two good parents. I have a brother and sister. So yeah, my memories of my childhood was a very happy, loving family.
What hobbies or interests did you have as a child?
So I had many. So the hobbies and interests growing up, I was heavily involved in sport. So there's a lot of sport in my family background. My father comes from a big sporting background. So yeah, soccer, Gaelic football, any sport at all really. Anything outdoors. That was what I was really interested in as a young child.
Did you play for any teams?
Yeah, I played for quite a few teams. When I was younger, I would have played for a team that's still on the go now called Brookfield, who Brian Sloan would have looked after. So when I was very young, I would have played with them. And then obviously played for all the school teams, St. Paul's High School, under the coaching and mentorship of Brian Jennings. So yeah, football was an integral part of my life growing up.
Who was your idol growing up and why?
Who was my idol growing up? Well, certainly from a football perspective, I vividly remember the '86 World Cup and Diego Maradona. He was something special. So when I was growing up on football being a big influence in my life, Maradona would have been a huge influence and someone that I looked up to.
What is your most memorable achievement?
Most memorable achievement as a youth or as an older person? Is there any particular?
So just in general.
In general, probably my biggest achievement was returning back and pursuing my education and coming out the other side as a teacher. Because as a young person, education certainly wasn't on my radar. I was more time out in the football field than I was in the classroom. So when I left school, I had very few qualifications, very few GCSEs. So when I made the decision to return back to school, going through that long process and coming out the other end, I'd say that's probably my most memorable achievement.
Can you tell me more about your other achievements?
Other achievements on the sporting context. I've been lucky being involved in a lot of very successful teams over the years, both as a youth and then as I got older. Would have played with a few Irish League teams in the day, and then I went on and played with my local Bestwick United, who were an intermediate side back then. We won Bass Bowls, Mid Ulster League titles, etc. So they're probably some of my biggest memories and achievements in football.
You tell me some about your achievements outside of sport.
So outside of sport achievements, so outdoors has always been a huge part of my life. And some of the achievements outside of that would have been getting my qualifications, getting my canoe awards, getting my mountain leader awards, getting my rock climbing instructor awards. So they were huge qualifications to get and achievements. And also, like I said, on the educational front, going back and getting my teaching, that certainly was probably top of the list there.
Tell me a bit about your company.
So I currently have two companies. One is a gym fitness business, Gym X Fitness, and the other is Peak Health and Mind, which is a social enterprise, not-for-profit organisation. So the fitness business, I work predominantly with general population clients. That's people just looking to get a bit fitter, a bit healthier, lose a bit of weight. That probably makes up about 80% of my client base. And then the other 20% is in the performance end of training things. So that's strength and conditioning, working with teams, working with athletes. That's probably my area of expertise, is working in that field. And then from Peak Health and Mind, it's a social enterprise. So the majority of my work's community-based. And I run many programs, from adult programs to youth programs in the community.
What made you want to start a company about mental health?
Well, what made me want to start? Well, I was growing up, like I said, I was heavily involved in sports, so I was very much involved in physical training, physical fitness. But I realised as I got older that the both are very well connected. So you can be physically strong, but also you have to have a mental strength and mental well-being. So even from my coaching, when I was coaching 15 years ago, working with teams and things, I realised that you have to take a holistic approach to health and physical fitness and mental well-being. So when I then set up my company, Peak Health and Mind, the primary objective was to provide programs outdoors which would help people's mental and physical health. And our tagline and everything we do is move more, move more, feel better.
Following on for that, can you tell me about some challenges that you've personally faced in your life and how you've overcome them?
Well, definitely, like going back to school, going back to night classes, that was a big challenge because I didn't return back to education until I was 22, 23. So I was classified as a mature student, or as some of my classmates used to say to me, a mature student. So that was a big challenge, returning back, being older, I guess. But yeah, I would say that's probably one of the big challenges that I faced, was actually going back to higher level education and being a lot older than everyone who was around me.
If you had to revisit one moment in your life and change it, what would that be and why?
Good question. Possibly some of the opportunities that were afforded to me through football. I probably didn't maximize those opportunities. Particularly when I was in that sort of 17, 18, 19 years of age. I'd probably go back to that, and knowing what I know now, I probably would have invested more time and applied myself a little more in those opportunities.
I can see that a lot of your work's done outside. Do you think there's a link between mental health and physical health?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Mental well-being and physical health are completely combined. Feeling better in yourself, looking better, definitely has a positive impact on your mental well-being. So yeah, for me, in the coaching that I do now, in the programs I do now, the emphasis in holistic approach to health. So looking after people's physical well-being and mental well-being.
I see that you have an interest in hiking. What's the hardest hike you've done?
Yeah, so hiking and mountain, that whole world of mountaineering is something that I've spent years involved in. Hiking is, again, a part of the things I do, as well as climbing, rock climbing, etc. Certainly one of the hardest hikes that I've been on. I guess from climbing mountains, it's not just the mountain you climb, but how you climb it. That's important to mountaineers. So there's definitely a couple of ranges in Scotland there. Certainly Ben Nevis from its north face, Ben Starrow from its north face. Like they're pretty epic climbs up them. So yeah, they're probably definitely along with some of the toughest ones that I've done.
And why?
Just the physical challenge. The north face of Nevis, the north face of Starrow, it's just really hard terrain. You're scrambling, grade 2, grade 3 scrambling on some sections. So it's not just a hike. You're having to take the ropes out. You're having to climb and navigate your way around. And also just due to the weather in Scotland, it's a lot of the time it's whiteout conditions. So yeah, it's just the terrain, the climate make things quite difficult.
Can you tell me more about the programs you offer for the community, for the young and old, and how these programs help the individuals?
Yeah, so in terms of Peak Health and Mind, run a varied amount of programs. So like I say, from the adult side of things, we have probably our blue ribbon event would be the Community Hike for Health program. So that's a program, an introductory program into hiking and learning the skills for hiking and how to be safe on the mountain and how to navigate. So Community Hike for Health, that's probably our blue ribbon for the adults. For the youth, we do varied programs from team building, skill building, to learn about the outdoors, orienteering, all stuff like that there. So yeah, quite a varied program for the youth. But for the adults, we certainly are, and like I say, the blue ribbon one is probably the Community Hike for Health program. What
is the best advice you're given?
Oh, the best advice I was given. Well, I've been very lucky over the years, and I've been around some really good coaches, and your granddad Willie Quinn is certainly a mentor of mine and someone who has mentored me from a young age. So, my best advice I'd probably give to anyone is that you're never too old to try something. That definitely rings loud and clear to me, as in when I return back to education. But I always say the groups I work with, particularly young groups, just give it a try. Just whatever you're doing, just give it a try.
Who is the biggest influence of your career and why?
Biggest influence. I would say definitely my family. My mum and my dad were definitely huge contributing factors when I was growing up. Very positive role models in my life. I lost my dad when I was quite young, so my mum took on both roles as both mum and dad. So my mum has been a huge influence in everything I've done and still is. So yeah, my parents definitely some of the biggest influences.
Thank you, John, for allowing me this opportunity to get more of an insight into your life and career.
Thank you, Jake. I've really enjoyed that. Thank you.